Welcome to the very first edition of PingCast, presented by Ping Skills. I'm Jeff Plum.
And I'm Alois Rosario.
And we're very excited because we're going to present a new type of show for you where we talk about everything regarding table tennis. We're going to talk about current topics, and we're going to get some people on the show in the future to interview them and talk to them about everything table tennis. So we really hope this is going to be big. We hope you're going to like it. Get behind it, support us, watch it all the time. We hope you'll enjoy it and benefit from watching it. So recently we've just had the Commonwealth Games, and Alois was the coach of the Australian team there, so we thought we'd take the opportunity to talk to him about the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so firstly, the Commonwealth Games, just for those countries that aren't familiar with it, is made up of the Commonwealth countries. So some of the big countries in the Commonwealth are England, India, Australia, New Zealand. It also includes countries like Nigeria and Singapore and a whole host. There's actually 71 countries as members of the Commonwealth.
Wow, so basically it's any country that was taken over by England.
Basically, that's it. You got it.
Okay.
You got it. So in table tennis, it was really well represented at this Commonwealth Games. In the men's teams, there were 25 teams in the men's, and there were 16 in the women's team, so pretty big entries. Really good competition for countries like Australia, New Zealand. Some of the countries that at world level we're not really up there and competitive, so and at Olympics, but Commonwealth Games is something that countries like Australia really focus on.
Yeah, so in the past Australia's won quite a few medals at the Commonwealth, haven't they?
Yep, so the last Commonwealth Games, William Hensel won a silver medal.
That was in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yep.
In 2006.
That's right. And in 2002, we won a couple of bronze medals and also picked up a couple of bronze in Melbourne. It's only been part of the Commonwealth Games since Manchester Games in 2002. So this year in Delhi was the third time it's been
the table
in the
tennis
games.
has been in the games.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Now, for those that did know about the Commonwealth Games, it was held in India, and there was a lot of talk beforehand about security, and people were a little bit worried about that. So how did that all pan out?
Oh, mate, it was great.
Okay.
The security was fantastic. It was over the top, if anything, but it was just fantastic. We never ever had a worry at all. Certainly beforehand, there was a lot of talk in the media about security. There was a lot of talk about a lot of things about the Commonwealth Games beforehand. But I can honestly say it was all no problems at all when we got there.
Okay, excellent. And I have to ask, how was the food hall?
Food hall was great.
Okay.
I'll tell you how good the food hall was. It was 2.5 kgs extra when
Okay.
on arrival back in Melbourne for me. So yeah, food was great. So in these major games, the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and all these major games, like the food halls are huge. So there were seating there for 5,000 people, and in the hall there's areas for Western food, Asian food. They had an Indian food section, they had an African food section, pizza and pasta, sizzling salads. So I mean, if you couldn't find something in the food hall that you don't like, well, you're pretty fussy, I think so.
Yeah.
And the variety was great. So
Yep.
each day you're going there and you're eating something new.
Okay.
And plenty of ice creams, and just dip into the ice cream bin, and there you are.
And the best part, it's all for free.
That is a good part of
Okay.
these games. So you just walk in there anytime, pick up food and eat it, and hence the extra gut.
So now if you want an ice cream, you've actually got to pay for it.
I know, it's shocking. Like you walk into a shop and try and take it out of their freezer, and they don't let you.
Terrible. Great stuff. All right, there we go. So what else can you tell us about the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, so then on the table tennis side, really great competition. Singapore were the dominant country.
Yep.
So there were 7 gold medals to be played for.
Okay.
2 teams events.
So a men's and a women's?
Yep, men's and women's teams.
Yep.
Then the 5 standard events: men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles.
Okay.
So Singapore took 6 of those gold medals.
6 of those gold medals.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
They're pretty awesome. They're pretty well on top. The women's team, obviously being the world teams champions, were almost untouchable.
Yep.
The men's team was a little bit closer to the field.
Okay.
So they beat England in the final.
Okay, so was that a surprise for England to make the final?
Yeah, it was a bit. England ended up beating India in the semis, which was a little bit of an upset. But England performed really well over there in the semis of the men's teams. In the women's teams, Singapore beat the host country India in the final.
Okay.
So so India was really well performed.
Okay, so and then the games were in India. So
Yep.
I guess they had a lot of support.
Yeah, in Delhi, they certainly did. It was fantastic atmosphere. The actual show court area was a 2-court stadium with seating right around. I think it seated about 4,000 people.
Wow.
And at times, that place was really going off.
Excellent.
There were a lot of Indians in there cheering fanatically for the Indians whenever they were playing, which made for a great atmosphere.
Yep.
It was really difficult to try and concentrate, especially if you were on the second table and there was an Indian playing on the first table.
Yep.
So, when they finished their rally, the crowd was going off, and you had to try and concentrate during your rally. You might have been in the middle of your rally, and suddenly the crowd bursts into applause. So it was difficult in that situation, but it's certainly better than playing in front of an empty stadium.
Oh, absolutely.
It adds a bit of atmosphere, and even at the top level in table tennis, sometimes we do play in front of empty stadiums, but the atmosphere was great.
Fantastic. And so is it a popular sport in India, table tennis?
It is, yeah. It is a really popular sport over there. It's not their most popular sport.
Obviously,
of their most popular
cricket.
sports. Yeah, cricket's right up there.
And the Aussies were actually playing.
And the
at
Aussies
the time.
and the Aussies lost 2-0 to India while we were over there. So we were hearing about it from quite a few of the Indians.
I think they were a little too good for us.
They were. And unfortunately, in the table tennis too, India ended up beating Australia in the women's team's quarter final.
Okay. Yep.
And that was 3-1. India. It was a bit of a funny draw. So India lost to New Zealand in their group.
Oh, really?
And Australia ended up topping their group, and that's why they met in the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And then India beat Australia 3-1 to go into the semis.
Yep.
Australia beat Malaysia in their group.
Okay.
And Malaysia ended up getting into the semis and ended up getting the bronze medal. So
wow.
So but that's sport. That's
absolutely.
just how it works out sometimes.
It is indeed.
Yep.
There you go. Because it was interesting because I was actually recently Roger Rao won the New Zealand Open Championships at the age of 13 years old.
Yeah, he's from New Zealand.
He's from New Zealand. Yep. And I was talking to Richard Lee, who used to hold the record until he was beaten by Roger, and he was saying a similar thing that happened in the draw. A lot of the players ended up, the supposedly called better players of the tournament, ended up in the bottom half, and he managed to sneak through. And then, in fact, there was actually an incident, and I'm not sure what happened, but in the semi-final, one of the New Zealand players who was highly ranked was disqualified for something that happened in the mixed doubles. I'm not sure what that was, but so he got a walkover in that, which made it a little bit easier. But I mean, still, to win the New Zealand Open Senior Championships at 13, unbelievable.
Yep.
So if you're interested in that interview, when I talk with Richard Lee, go to our website, www.pingseals.com, and look on our blog. Search for Richard Lee if you can't find it, and we've got that interview there. So that's really worth listening to. He gives a bit of advice to kids about what they should be training, and it's really good. Have a listen.
Okay, yeah, so that is an amazing result for a 13-year-old to win their national championship, at whatever level it is.
Absolutely.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So Roger played in the Australian Junior Championship and ended up, he lost the under-15 event to one of the Australian juniors, Dylan Cathcart.
Yep.
So he's certainly not untouchable, but gee, that's a good result.
It is, isn't it?
It's a good result for him.
Yep. I think it's going to be a long time before that record is broken.
Yeah, well, I'd say so. Yeah.
Very good. All right. So I think that's pretty much a wrap from the Commonwealth Games for the moment. If we think of anything else, we might talk about it in another episode.
Yep. Yeah, in future episodes, we will talk a little bit about some of my other experiences there in the Commonwealth Games, just the whole village life, sharing a room with some tennis coaches, and that was fantastic because at night we got back to the room and we were able to discuss a lot of technique with some of the tennis coaches.
Okay, yep, that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, that was great. It's good to sometimes look outside your sport for technique and for knowledge, because tennis is obviously a huge sport worldwide with a lot of money involved with it.
Yep.
So that the backing that they've got and the technology that they have access to is really interesting. And we're going to look at implementing some of that technology. So I was talking to some of the tennis coaches, and we're now in the market for one of the programs that will help us to analyse technique a lot better.
Wow.
So, so that's something to look forward to from Ping Skills as well.
Excellent.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Great. Thanks, Jeff.
No worries. As part of the PingCast by Ping Skills, we're going to sometimes feature a question from our Ask the Coach section on our website. That's a place where you can go and ask us any table tennis question you like, and we'll get back to you with an answer. So today's question is about a person who was having trouble lifting a backspin ball. They said every time they hit it, it seemed to float long off the end of the table, and they were wondering where you should hit the ball, whether you should hit it on the underside of the ball or where you should hit it. So we're going to get Alois to take us through the correct way to hit a backspin ball.
So if you're trying to lift the backspin ball, the first important thing is to brush the ball on contact. If you're hitting the ball flat, here or here, you're not generating any topspin of your own. So the topspin is important to get the ball to dip down onto the other side. So where on the ball are we going to contact it? You can contact the ball right at the back, and your stroke becomes quite vertical, doing it like this. You can also start to contact the ball towards the top, but you need to make sure that you're brushing the ball there. Now, the further over the top of the ball you go, the faster your action needs to be. If your action's slow, the ball is going to drop down. If your action's fast, then the ball can go forwards. If you're hitting the ball at the back of the ball, your action can be quite slow because you're lifting the ball vertically with topspin. So the key is brushing the ball no matter where you're hitting it on the ball. If you're brushing the ball slowly, you can afford to hit the ball more at the back of the ball. If you're brushing the ball fast, then you can start to come over the top of the ball and spin the ball forwards that way. So, to counter a backspin ball, okay, there's your tips.
So there you have it. That's the first episode of the PingCast presented by Ping Skills. We hope you like it. If you've seen us on YouTube, then head over to our website www.pingskills.com and leave a comment on our blog. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you liked and what you didn't like, and we'll try to get better. And we're really hoping this show is going to take off, and it's going to be fun and informative, and that you'll love it.
Yep. Once you get to our website, make sure you have a look around at all the different sections.
All right, that's us signing off. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.